If you've been struggling to get a good score, to get 160 plus, 150 plus on the GRE verbal section, chances are A, you don't have a good vocabulary, or B, you're just not having the right strategy. In this video, I'm going to be targeting some of these two, and mostly the strategy part I'm going to cover in a way that you, my friend, will have the perfect strategy. In my own GRE test, I scored a 329, out of which 161 was on the verbal section. Today, I want to give you the strategy so that you can go ahead and do the same. I'm going to be live solving a full-fledged GRE verbal test in front of you. There's two sections, a total of 27 questions, exactly how the latest GRE format works. All I want you to do is to work through these questions with me. Pause it whenever you can, attempt the question on your own, and then compare your strategy with mine. And trust me, just by doing that, you're going to see a massive boost in your scores. And before we begin, remember that you can go ahead and sign up on YMGrad.com. As soon as you do, we're going to share some free study material right to your email. So make sure that you get access to it, and let's begin. Alright guys, now let's get started with the GRE Verbal full-fledged test. Alright, the first one is actually a sentence equivalence. You have to select two options. Let's start. When he saw his soldiers daunted or scared by the overwhelming size of the enemy's army, the king blanked them, decrying their hesitation as cowardice. Now I want you to stop showing the options, okay? Put your hand over them, don't look at the options, okay? Now look at the sentence. I'm going to pause over here. I want to teach you guys the concept, and then later on we can move faster. So when he saw the soldiers are scared by the overwhelming size of the enemy's army, the king blanked them, decrying his hesitation as cowardice. Right? Their hesitation as cowardice. So the king thinks that they are cowards. What is he going to do? He's going to, of course, sort of scream at them, right? The king screamed at them, or he, sort of denigrated them, something like that. I'm going to look for now a synonym of screaming or denigrating. And now we start the timer. Let's begin again. Okay, so vilipended. Vilipended is one of those words. Okay. The rest over here is, okay, denigrated. Denigrated is already one of the words. So what I see over here, I already see options C and E over here. I did not need to actually go ahead and even look at all the options. For instance, inveigle, I think I know the word. I know that it's maybe convincing, but I'm not sure. Galvanized, I think is something completely different, where you basically sort of pacify someone, maybe, impressed. I know the meaning. Repudiated, I'm forgetting the meaning, I think, but I do think that this is not the answer. So vilipended and denigrated, both of these, are properly fitting in. And I'm going to move ahead and try to see the answer, and you see, that's the answer. Correct. Let's move forward, guys. It is important not to be swayed by blank speech, and remember to hide the options. Blank speech, but to carefully scrutinize its content. Now, this is a tough one because they don't really give us a lot to go with here. It is important not to be swayed by shimmery speech, or sweet words, or some kind of sweet speech, but to be careful to scrutinize its content. It could be one, but let's see. So weighty does not really coincide with my keyword. Winsome coincides. Winsome is, again, sweet, and just something that basically gets you the output, essentially. Winning, sort of. Prevailing is completely different. Prevailing means that, it's popular speech. Maybe if we find a synonym to that. Alluring is actually very close to winsome, because it's also, that's very attractive, sort of pulls you in, right? So it's winsome or alluring speech, which sort of pulls you in. It's winning speech, right? Candid is honest. There's no word that's been a synonym of that. Cagey, I don't know the meaning of cagey, but I don't think I need to, because alluring and winsome are pretty much fitting the blank over here. Remember, guys, I'm doing these questions first time, just like you guys are. I want to give you my realistic overview. If we go wrong, we go wrong. I'm going to see the answer. It's going to be there on your screen in 3 seconds. All right, the answer is actually correct. So we're good to go over here. And you see, even though I did not know all the words, you can still get the answer sometimes. Correct. Okay, let's move on. First-year college students may feel apprehensive. Remember to hide the options. Apprehensive about their prospects for success in a rigorous academic program. So apprehensive, maybe I think nervous they mean, right? However, most new students achieve a sense of blank by the end of their first semester. So however, change of direction of the sentence happened over there. Now, if we look at basically the options, those are traps. Before that, I want my own fill-in over here, remember. So my fill-in could be something like achieve a sense of, I don't know, confidence. I think confidence by the end of their semester, that first semester, that yeah, we're going to be able to do it. At first they were nervous, now they're confident. So let me look for, okay, confidence is actually one of the words. So confidence, and then the second one I need is a synonym of that. Complacency is close. I'm almost 30% sure on it, because complacency means that okay, you've already achieved something, so you're a bit confident about it, but at the same time, you kind of let go. So I don't think it's the same. Conflation, I don't know for sure. Consternation, I don't know for sure. Poise actually means calmness, confidence, again the same thing almost in this case. Calumny, I also don't think I know many of these. Consternation, I think I know a little bit, but confidence and poise, whatever. That's the two answers I think should be the answers. Let's just check. Okay, we're good to go. So the answers are correct. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The prison sentence was blank in the eyes. Again, hide the option. Blank in the eyes of the jury. Perfectly justified by the seriousness of the crime. The appeals court, however, felt differently, deeming it excessive. So the jury probably did not find it excessive. It's the opposite, right? So because the however keyword is there, so they're changing the sentence, the direction of it. So the jury probably thought that it's adequate, right? So my keyword is adequate. Now I've got to find synonyms of adequate. So the present sentence was recondite, could be the answer. Then it could be jocund. Jocund I think is happy, so I don't think it makes sense. Recondite, I'm not quite sure. Condign actually really means that it's close to adequate. Like you actually use it in this sense. Condign means that it's an appropriate appropriate, basically it's a punishment. Meet, again meet also I think should meet. Condign and meet look good. Clement is actually the opposite. Clemency, remember, if you see granting clemency in a court, that means that you're basically giving them some leeway. You're basically making it easy for them. Ludicrous means almost like ridiculous, funny. I don't think that's the answer as well, except for recondite, meet and clement. I don't think there's any other options I would want to look at. Sorry, recondite, condign and meet. So A, C and D, that's what I'm looking at, but C and D sort of match a bit more for me. So okay, we're actually going with C and D. It makes sense. All right, great, good to go. Next one, they heard the blank truth, again hide the options, is stranger than fiction. Before, but never truly blank it until they struggle to explain the bizarre events that they witnessed that day. I think the second one is pretty clear. Never truly experienced it, until they heard the blank truth is stranger than fiction. I don't know what the first one could be, maybe something, but the second one I'm sure about. So I'm going to look for the second one, close to experienced it. So pursued, fathomed is a direct synonym of experience. Impugned means something else completely. Pursued means something else. Experience is only relating to fathomed, so it should be fathomed. And they heard the blank truth is, hey, actually, so look, adage means that it's a phrase, and they've put quotation marks over there, so it should be they heard the phrase truth is stranger than fiction, which should basically mean adage. Paradox, there's no paradox over here because they are realizing exactly what they're talking about. It's not the opposite. Opprobrium, I think again it's something else completely. I think it's actually shouting at someone or something. So adage really fits. Adage and fathomed. Let's move forward and check. Okay, we're good to go. Alright guys, let's move on. Due to his lengthy industry-friendly record, the governor was thought to be blank pro-business. Well, I guess very pro-business because he's industry-friendly. So it was blank when he announced the creation of a large environmental preserve at the expense of industry. It was surprising because he's doing the opposite over. He's not basically pro-industry. However, his decision was not met with unqualified enthusiasm. Many astute observers noted the politically blank motive of using the decision to court independent voters. So he's courting independent. He's getting more voters. So politically strategic motive, I suppose. So let's try to now find something close to our synonyms. The first one was very pro-business. So actually staunchly is the same. Staunchly is basically the same. Very, you can say, similar to that, so I think that one would make sense. Unsustainably, desultory is basically, I think, dry or something, boring. So again, that does not make sense either. So staunchly, and then the second one we talked about was it was surprising, right? So something close to surprising. Debilitating is weakening. I don't think that's. Vitiating is to legally remove something. I don't think. Arresting makes sense. Arresting is again surprising. And finally, the third one I'm going to pause the timer over here. I don't want you guys to worry because some questions will take long, some questions short. So the third one is, many astute observers noted the politically blank move, and I said it's a strategic move because I think that he's getting more voters, right? So strategic, something close to that. Ingenuous, uncouth, opportunistic. Now here's the key. This is so tricky. Uncouth, we know it's not the case, but ingenuous and opportunistic, both of them seem right. But I know that there's two distinct words, ingenious and ingenuous. Ingenuous means innocent. Ingenious means genius, amazing. And if it was ingenious, I would be very confused over here. But because I know ingenuous means innocent, and it's certainly not innocent, it's a strategic decision, it's an opportunistic decision. That's why I'm going to go with opportunistic. And let's look at the answer over here. And I feel we've gotten it right. Let's see. Okay, we have staunchly, arresting, and opportunistic. That's good. That's really great. Okay, let's move on with the next one. Seventh one. Again, hide the options. While acknowledging that the celebrity was blank in her endeavors to raise funds for a number of causes, detractors accused her of secretly treating her employees callously. So callously means like not caring about them, I suppose. However, her manager blank rumors of her misanthropy when years after her death he revealed that she had privately bequeathed much of her fortune to the loyal staff. Okay, so she was actually, so at first they thought that, okay, this woman is, basically taking advantage of them. But so second one is easy. Second one, we can say that her manager basically, expunged the rumors. He just removed any rumors, right? And in order to basically look at the option, substantiated, no, he did not do that. Construed as to understand, he repudiated. He basically rejected the rumors. I think that's the one over there. I think repudiated means that. And while acknowledging the celebrity was blank in her endeavors to raise funds for a number of causes. So basically, detractors are not usually happy with what she is doing, right? So while this is okay, so they're saying that, okay, this part about her was good, but the rest of it, she was treating her employees badly. So there should be something positive here. So the celebrity was good at, or something, basically strong in her endeavors to raise funds. And so cursory is to basically look at something for a short glance. Niggardly, I'm not sure about that also, niggardly. I don't know the meaning. Indefatigable, though, it means exactly what we're looking for, right? So this would mean basically that she was pretty great, essentially, in her endeavors, basically could not be compared or defeated. And let's check the answers over here. And that turns out to be C and E. We're good. We're perfect over here. All right, let's move forward. The blank potential of a new company to blank in an emerging and as yet unstructured market is often difficult for investors to discern as they blank clues due to its resilience and vitality. Okay, so we know that the investors are basically not sure because it's a new company in a new and emerging market. So the unseen potential, I can say, unrealized potential of a new company to, or unsure potential of a new company to strive, like do well in an emerging market, is often difficult for the investors to understand, to discern, as they blank clues due to its resilience and vitality, as they have to find clues, something like that. So the first one is going to be blank potential. So let's say, the unseen or something like that. So evident, mature is something completely different. Evident, latent makes sense because latent is not unseen exactly, but it means that, okay, it's not here yet, but it will happen later on. So you will see it later on. Right now you don't see it, but there is a potential. The evident is, it's clearly not evident. It's completely opposite to evident, right? We're not able to understand exactly whether this thing has potential or not. So it's not evident. It's certainly latent because it's delayed, right? For a new company to blank in an strive in an emerging market, I said, right? It's doing very well. Flourish. So flourish is basically an exact synonym of that. Succumb means to lose, so we're not looking for that. Equilibrate, I don't know what that means, but flourish means exactly the same. And it's often difficult for investors to discern as they look for clues, something like that we were looking for. And then circumvent is to sort of, remove an obstacle, just move around it. I don't think that's it. Catapulate to, I'm not sure about, but quest for makes sense because quest for means that you're starting to look for those clues. So that's going to be my answer. Quest for, flourish, and of course latent. Let's look at the answers, and the answers seem to be perfectly right, as you can see over here. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. Inured to the intense work engendered by the deadlines they normally faced, the production managers felt somewhat blank by the temporary hiatus in orders. Now, luckily, I know the meaning of hiatus. Hiatus is pause. So you stop the work. Temporary pause in orders. So inured to the intense work, inured, I don't know for sure, but I think that means now that, because you're used to the work because of the deadlines, the production managers felt somewhat strange, confused by the temporary, hiatus, or they could be happy, but I don't think it's happy because they're used to the deadlines. So if they don't have the deadlines, it feels sort of strange, right? So let's look for something close to strange. Constrained, that's not strange. Disoriented, that's a little bit like strange. Disoriented, maybe 50%, 50-50. Wizened is probably not what we're looking for. It's, they're basically old, I think, or something like that. Like it's been going on for a long time. Overworked, they certainly did not feel overworked because it's a temporary hiatus, remember? And hiatus is a pause. Dehumanized, I don't think it makes sense. It's just not as close to strange as I want. So I think disoriented should be the answer. Let's look at it. Okay, we're good to go over there. All right, guys, let's look at the 10th one here. Okay, now remember, some questions, we have equally distributed the time over here. However, some questions will need more time, some will need less. So accordingly, I'll stop the timer because sometimes we need to read a longer passage. Some questions, we just finish them quickly in 10-20 seconds also, right? But the point of the video is that you understand the whole strategy. So I don't care if I take 10 minutes extra, but I want to get you the strategy, okay? Let's get started. The hemline index is nearly as old as the stock market. When hemlines get shorter, according to the index, the market goes up in value. As hemlines fall, so does the market. Hemline, I think they're talking about, I think that's in a cloth, something. Anyway, in other words, skirts. So in other words, short skirts anticipate a strong economy. Okay, so if the skirts are short, economy is good. At first glance, this simplistic postulate can seem ridiculous, but some forecasters watch fashion to help predict what's going to happen with the market because events in earlier decades have supported the hemline index. As flappers' dresses shortened in 1920, the markets rose, and when the market fell with the Great Depression, hemlines did too. When the market surged in 1950s, short poodle skirts appeared, and as markets continued to strengthen in the 1960s, the mini skirt arrived. Then, as the US economy stagnated in 1970s, the maxi skirt made an appearance, among the hippie set. Though poodle and maxi skirts are ancient history, to today's youth, prognostications, can flash forward to the housing boom of 2006 and the emergence of shortened baby doll dress, which was followed by the slump of 2007 when again the hemlines fell on fashion's runways. Okay, so what they're talking about is the length of the skirt. If it's too short, then markets are up. If it's long, then the markets go down, apparently. That's ridiculous, but it certainly seems to make some sense over here. So they've given quite some examples. Now let's see. Which of the following, if true, most seriously undermines the author's argument that the hemline index can be used to predict future market behavior? So we have to find something that just does not go with the passage. There's going to be one of these 5 options. Let's see. In each of these cases, not all women wore the skirts. Well, it's not about all the women. It's about basically some women. That's fine. The hemline changes cited in the passage occurred concurrently with the market changes, not before them. Okay, so that's important. They did not happen before. That means that they cannot be used to predict future market behavior. It's all about the future, right? So clearly you cannot predict the future with something that happens along with the market. B makes sense to me. Let's see. The market held a steady value during the World War II and the skirts remained at knee length. This actually supports the passage. Doesn't make sense. Economists have concluded that there is no relationship between male fashion trends. Well, they're not even talking about the male fashion trends. A major economist dismisses the hemline theory. Well, that also does not make any sense. It does not undermine the author's argument at all because there's no reason over here. So we're going to go with basically B, I think. And let me just go ahead, fast forward to the answer. B matches the prediction. That's correct. Let's move forward to the next one. Okay. 11th. Okay, now we have to read a new passage. At a certain college, graduating teaching assistants conduct discussion sections but have no input into grading. It has been suggested that graduate assistants be given some grading responsibility, but many undergrads oppose their proposal. That they argue that if the grades are assigned by graduate assistants, regular full-time faculty will devote less time and attention to the undergraduate work. Okay, the information in the passage above suggests an answer to which of the following questions. Okay, so which question is answered? Okay, are grades assigned by graduate teaching assistants as fair as those given by regular faculty? They did not exactly answer that question. They just said that we want more involvement of the undergraduate, of the actual full-time faculty. So I would not really choose this. Are some undergraduates in favor of maintaining the full-time faculty's interest in their schoolwork? Absolutely. Some of them are. That's why they are arguing that, they argue that if the grades are assigned by them, then, full-time full-time teachers will not basically spend full attention and time. So absolutely, some of them want the faculty's interest to be there. So B makes sense. May regular full-time faculty conduct discussions sections at the college? Well, they did not really talk about that, did they now? Does graduate student contact with undergraduates' work make the grades assigned by regular faculty less valid? Again, they did not answer this question either. They did not compare the two at all. Are regular faculty members in favor of giving graduate assistants some teaching responsibility? Well, maybe, but again, they did not exactly answer this question either. They did not talk about teaching responsibility. They were talking about the grading responsibility. So I think B makes sense to me. Let's look at the answer, and okay, we're good to go. We're good to go over here. Let's move on to the next one. All right, the next one is 12. Considering the current economy, the introduction of a new brand of cereal is unlikely to expand total sales of cereal, but rather will just cause some existing buyers of cereal to switch brands. Okay, so it makes no sense for the Coolidge Corporation to introduce another brand of cereal, since they will only hurt their sales of the brands of cereal they already produce. Okay. All right. Which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument? So we have to basically, break down the argument and go against it. Number one, total sales of the cereals will increase as the total population increases. This is irrelevant to the argument at all. In fact, many new brands of cereal sell extremely well for the first year. Maybe, I mean, it's good, but it does not exactly say that this is going to happen with their corporation. And many new brands, it's not all new brands. Coolidge Corporation currently produces fewer brands of cereal than do its competitors. This is again not relevant. Some cereal buyers regularly switch from brand to brand even when no new brands have been introduced. Well, they can do that, but again, it's not really weakening the argument above. It's some cereal buyers, not all of them anyway. Research indicates that the new brand will attract more buyers of competitor cereals than the buyers of Coolidge brands. Yeah, because they were saying that, okay, you already have ABC brands and then you launch the D brand. These will basically switch not only to D but to others also. But now they're saying that, okay, there's XYZ brands of other companies which you'll attract to this brand D. So it would make sense to me to go with something like D. It does undermine the argument. It basically will increase the sales then. So E is correct. We're good to go. All right, guys, that's the first 12 questions done. That means that it's time for section number 2. Usually you get a bit of a break. We're not going to do that. All right, number 13. The intricately plotted action of Charles someone's clever novel, The Quinsunks, takes the reader on blank journey through the complex nuances of Regency England's legal system, okay, in which unscrupulous and blank lawyers, it's going to be probably similar to unscrupulous, unethical probably lawyers, do battle with a young and innocent protagonist over the fate of an entailed estate. So, okay, who's going to get it? Bad side, bad lawyers, and good attorney, innocent. So, certainly the second blank is something unethical ones. And the first one, the intricately, basically, it's very complex. Plotted action of this guy's novel takes the reader on a blank journey through the complex nuances. So, it's probably a very complex journey. Again, I can just recycle the complex keyword because it's a intricately plotted action move. So a complex move. Okay, first blank, let's look at it now. The implacable, I don't think that is synonym to complex. Deleterious is basically harmful. We're not good. Cerebral though, cerebral is basically related to your brain. It's complex. You have to really put your mind into it. So cerebral journey, that makes sense. And then the second one was unethical lawyers, right? Unethical. Let's find a keyword related. Dolorous is not it. Aggrieved is not it, because both of these almost mean that they are sad, and just aggrieved. Perfidious, though, I think makes sense. I'm not sure, but I know that these two are not the options, so perfidious should be it. And the answer is D, C, and D. Okay, we're good to go. Cerebral, perfidious. We're fine over there. Let's move forward. The blank of an old man's garb. I don't know what garb is, but anyway, and home belied a blank nature, and many people lamented his tendency to be outright juvenile in somber circumstances. Lamented are that they basically are sad about his, they don't like this tendency of his to be juvenile in some circumstances. The blank of the old man's garb and home. Now this one is a bit difficult. Belied, so basically belied a blank nature. So it's opposite. These two should be opposite. Let's look, yeah. Let's do the second one. We know that this guy is juvenile in somber circumstances, so he's a bit stupid or childlike, and I actually see the word jejune, which is close to juvenile. I know that these two words basically mean the same thing. So I'm going to go with juvenile. Doughty is probably brave, strong, inquisitive is not really something that is talked about. So belied a juvenile, jejune nature, I think, right? But that means the opposite of childlike should be the blank number one, which should be serious, right? So serious, probably austerity, obsolescence, poverty. I think austerity is the only one. Obsolescence is not, again, serious. Poverty is not serious. We all know that. Austerity could be the only one, even though I don't know for sure, but I think this should be it. Let's look at the answer. Okay, we're good to go. Jejune austerity. That's fine. Let's move forward over here. Although many young professionals are blank to settle in suburbs because they believe doing so will exclude them from opportunities found in urban centers, so they're unwilling to settle in suburbs, right? This is not necessarily true. Direct public, and this changes the direction of the sentence. Direct public transportation, although at blank stage, will soon allow suburban residents to travel to a city center quickly. Although at a latent stage, remember we did another question which was latent, which means that it's not here yet, but it'll come soon. Latent stage, I can say, right? And although many young professionals are reluctant to settle down. So let's see, reluctant, first one, something synonymous to that is going to be, let's see, obligated, disinclined, liable. Well, disinclined is close to reluctant, I think. So we're going to go with disinclined. And the second one is going to be, although at a latent or basically slow stage, right? So this is going to be hopeful, maybe transient. Transient is basically very quick, I think. So it's the opposite of what we're looking for. Incipient. Incipient means an initial stage. Okay. So yeah, direct public transportation is at an initial stage. It's still latent, it's going to come soon. You can't really see it, but it's happening. So I think incipient would make sense. We're going to go with, let's see, over here again, disinclined and incipient. Let's wait for the answer. Okay, we're good to go over here. Let's move forward to the next one. All right, the next one is, because of the dry and torrid heat, the backpackers soon found themselves with barely enough water to quench their thirst. I think that's pretty obvious, right? They need to quench their thirst. That seems like an easy one, but I don't know many of the words over here. That part I can assure you. With that said, I know that LA is a synonym of quench, steal, survey, slake, wet, glut. So I know that wet is not probably it means something else. Glut can be related to maybe glutton, someone who eats a lot. So I don't know if that makes sense over here actually, because it's about quenching the thirst and not eating a lot. So wet, glut are out of the picture. LA is there for sure, I'm pretty sure about that. Steal their thirst. Survey, I think I also know, I've seen it somewhere, but I don't think that makes sense. Slake, maybe slake makes sense to me. I think I won't choose survey, steal and a slake, one of these along with LA. So LA is certainly there. Steal, not sure. I think slake their thirst, steal their thirst. I think slake just sounds better. Maybe I would like to go with that, and I'll hope for the best. I think I'll go with these two, slake and LA. And they're good. We're good. So you see how basically sometimes you don't really know the meanings of the words. You still can get them. Just make sure you try the root words over there. Next one. The journal's reviews expose the critic's incompetence more than that of the author, as most of the reviews provide no constructive criticism and amount to nothing more than tiresome and insulting blank aimed at deflating the author's ego. Tiresome and insulting, basically long and insulting sentences or arguments aimed at deflating the author's ego. So basically, there's no more incompetence in the author than there is in the critics. So, okay, insulting, let's see. Articulations, maybe, basically they made something up. Invectives actually make sense. It's like a basically sort of tirade, where you're basically just talking about it, basically just trying to malign someone, even though you have no reason. So invectives make sense. Elocutions, I don't know for sure what this word means. Surmises is summary. Speculations again is close to articulation, so that could be one pair. But diatribes makes a lot of sense, because diatribes and invectives are both exactly what we're looking for, I feel, over here. Because diatribe is also like a tiresome and a long, sort of like a lecture on sort of denigrating someone. So I feel it should be diatribes and invectives. Okay, and we're good to go. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, that's a passage. When the great influenza, and before that, I like to see what the question is. The author mentions that scientists have a good picture of the structure of this flu strain in order to do something. Okay, when the great influenza pandemic of 1918 to 19 struck, an estimated 675,000 Americans died. This was 10 times the number who died in World War I, which was then coming to an end in Europe. Sometimes called the Spanish flu, this influenza was initially seemed as benign as the common cold, would ultimately take approximately 50 million lives worldwide, killing more people than the bubonic plague had killed in 1347 to 51. The US Centers for Disease Control, CDC, estimates that nearly one-third of the world's population was infected with the influenza virus, which was surprisingly virulent among the young and fit. I think this means very popular among the young and fit. Today, live samples of the 1918 virus and evolving RNA science give researchers both a good picture of this structure of the flu strain, yet both the origin and the cause of this catastrophic plague episode remains a mystery. So we don't know what caused it. The CDC's interpretation of the data is chilling. Until the root cause of the pandemic are understood thoroughly, analogous conditions could lead to an equally devastating pandemic. So why did they try to essentially use these words? A good picture of this thing is available today. Well, they could use it to mention basically the intensity of it. Let's see basically today, because it took so much time for them to do it. Anyway, so demonstrate how these scientists are solving the medical history. That's your optional number one. But no, that's not really, I think that's not really why he used this thing. Extol the progress science has made, tracing the origins of the 1918 to 19. So basically extol means to go ahead and appreciate it, right? So I don't think he's trying to appreciate that either. Introduce a depiction. No, he did not introduce a depiction of the appearance. Support that notion that a widespread health disaster such as the Spanish flu is unlikely to happen in the future. No, in fact, they say that it can happen. Underscore how baffling the 1918. So basically, this one makes sense to me, because it says also that it took so much time for them to actually get a good picture of it, and even now it's not confirmed as to what caused it. So I think that this should be the answer, E. Let's check it out, and from there we'll move forward. Okay, we're good to go. Let's move forward now. So the 19th one says, which of the following cannot be inferred from the passage? So which is against the passage. Scientists were somehow able to recover a live sample of the 1918 virus. Okay, I feel that was there, but yeah, it's not going against the passage, so we need something else. International borders, even oceans, were inadequate barriers to spread the flu. Yeah, because it went to other countries, and one-third of the people worldwide were basically able to get it, and it killed 50 million people worldwide. So yeah, that's also correct, which means that this is not what we're looking for. World War I led to the 1918-19 flu pandemic? No, absolutely not, because we know that they don't even know the cause of it. So in fact, I don't even have to go through the rest of the options. I feel that C is correct. We already know it. So let's actually take a look at the answer. And it is correct. Yeah, right. So the next one is a different passage. Connections between events described. Okay, author's primary purpose. Why did he write the passage? We're looking for that. Connections between events described in the folk tales that formed the foundation of the biblical story of the Noah's Ark and the actual events that occurred due to the collapse of the Laurent ice sheet ice sheet 8,000 years ago have led scientists to investigate the effects of the rising sea levels in the Fertile Crescent at that time. Okay, researchers constructed models of the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea shorelines before the ice sheet collapsed and after, when sea levels rose. The researchers estimated that the flood could have displaced nearly 145,000 people and that this displacement may have had societal effects. The agrarian peoples on the coast moved further inland and shared their farming practices with the hunter-gatherer communities in those inland areas. In fact, this migration may have been a major factor in the sudden expansion of farming, an event long thought significant by historians who traditionally use the rapid adoption of agriculture in this area to mark the end of the Mesolithic era and the beginning of the Neolithic era. According to the researchers, these findings clearly demonstrate that sea level shifts have potential effect to the massive social change far from the coastline. Okay, so the primary purpose, I don't even have to think about it, but the primary purpose here is that the author is trying to tell you that look, because these ice sheets collapsed, because of that basically the social changes happened and basically people started farming more in the inside also where they were hunters. Okay, so let's see, prove that the events relate to the story of Noah's Ark actually occurred. Not really. Connect the collapse of Laurent ice sheet to agricultural developments of the Fertile Crescent. But this is very tricky because Fertile Crescent is outside. They talked about that. They said that Fertile Crescent was the area where basically these people were outside on the shoreline living. So this one does not make sense because of that, right? Relate the findings of scientists who believe that changes in sea levels can precipitate major societal change. This is exactly what we're looking for, right? We even talked about it. So I'm going to stop here. I don't even need to read more. C should be the answer, and let's check. And it is correct. Let's move forward. Okay, 21. According to the passage, which of the following was a direct result of the rising sea levels caused by the collapse of the Laurent ice sheet? So what was a direct result? Hunter-gatherer communities were displaced by farming communities from the coast. No, that did not happen. Hunter-gatherer did not come out. Mesolithic era ended and Neolithic began. I mean, this isn't a direct result, but maybe. Okay, thousands of displaced people shared maritime farming methods with inland farmers. Yeah, the inland with inland farmers. Wait, they were inland hunter gatherers. So this again makes it wrong. Coastal communities were decimated and displaced. Farmers had to find new places to live. Well, this one does make sense. They were decimated, coastal people, and they were farmers also, so they had to find new places to live. So all of this makes sense. Witnesses who observed the rising sea levels created new folk tales describing a large flood. Again, this is not according to the passage at all. This is something completely different. So we're going to go with D, I feel. Let's check the answer. It just makes all the sense to me. And with that said, okay, good. We're good to go over here. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is the 22nd. And with that said, we have a whole new passage, a big one. Okay, so the primary purpose of the passage, basically, the passage is concerned with. So we have to read the whole thing to tell. Today, there is a fairly standard model of factors leading to heart disease. Most heart disease is caused by the growth of fatty deposits known as atherosomething plaques in coronary artery walls. Yeah, plaques narrow the width of the arteries and lead to the formation of clots that can block the flow of blood, eventually causing a heart attack. Factors such as high blood pressure, smoking, and diabetes can increase the risk of heart disease. High levels of cholesterol and saturated fats in diet also increase the risk because they contribute to the plaque formation. Now remember, I'm reading this to you and we're going a bit slow, but on the actual test, I don't have to pronounce this, I don't have to explain this. It goes much faster. So you can do this much faster, but right now we're going to pause the time, we're going to take our time. So what they're saying is that there's a standard model, this we all know of, cholesterol, all these things. A sizable minority of coronary patients, however, experience near attacks even though they display few or no standard risk factors. So nothing happened with them, but they are displaying these factors. They still have they don't have these factors, but they still have a heart attack. Recent research by Richard Lawn suggests that lipoprotein a blood protein first isolated in the 1960s, may play a major role in such cases. Okay, excessive levels of lipoprotein A are associated with strokes, heart attacks, and a narrowing coronary arteries. In fact, males with high lipoprotein levels account for about 1/4 of male heart attacks victims under the age of 60. So this could be the reason. Now let's see more. Lipoprotein A is closely related to low density lipoprotein LDL, a major contributor to atherosclerosis, whatever. As a group, lipoproteins absorb and transport fatty substances, including cholesterol, to various sites in the body. High density lipoproteins, or HDLs, are protective and carry cholesterol to the liver for later use in the synthesis of important hormones. LDLs, however, so HDLs are the good ones. They take it to the liver. LDLs, however, deposit the cholesterol in the bloodstream, including in the coronary arteries, where it contributes to the plaque formation. So LDLs are the bad guys. Lipoprotein A has the same complex structure as the LDL, so it's similar to that, with an additional surface protein called as apolipoprotein A. Apolipoprotein A resembles plasminogen, a protein that binds and dissolves fibrin, a key component of blood clots. Okay, unlike plasminogen, however, apolipoprotein whatever does not dissolve fibrin, so it does not dissolve it, but it just carries it, it seems. Okay, all right. A theory that would adequately explain now lipoprotein A operates has yet to be developed. So it's not now, I think this should be how this thing operates is yet to be developed. But there is a speculation that when too much lipoprotein A is present in the arteries, it may compete with plasminogen for access to fibrin in arterial blood clots. Since lipoprotein A cannot dissolve fibrin, the dissolution of clots is hampered. Okay, since basically this one cannot dissolve fibrin, the dissolution of clots is hampered. Okay, increasing the risk of arterial blockage. Okay, yeah, because it cannot dissolve it, but the other one can. Another negative function has been suggested as well. Lipoprotein A, which enters the blood vessel walls inside the white blood cells, okay, as known as macrophages, may prompt the release of growth factors by macrophages that thicken artery walls. So for some reason, indirectly, it can thicken. This might also be happening. Okay, all right. That's a big passage, but I think the whole purpose of this passage is to talk about how the standard model does not work for some patients, and there are lipoproteins and all these things that might actually contribute to basically the heart disease. Okay, let's start. So the primary passage, passage is primarily concerned with discussing the possible role of lipoprotein in some cases of heart disease. That one does make sense to me a lot. Refuting the standard model of risk factors. No, they're not. No one's saying that the standard model is bad, so that's not the case. Examining the evidence of two opposite theories. They're not opposite theories either. They might be even interlinked for all we care. Suggesting ways that individuals prone to heart disease can reduce their risk. No, they're not doing that. Proposing that the structure of plasminogen is similar to the structure of... No, that's really not even the last paragraph of the passage, so I don't think this one makes sense. So I think A would be the one I would want to go with. Let's try and check once and see if we are good over there. All right, we're good. Good. Couple more questions to go, guys. Let's stick to it. All right, the next one. The author suggests which of the following about the standard model of the causes of heart disease? It misidentifies most frequent causes of heart disease. No, because it only says only a couple of them, sizable but still minority, could not be identified. I don't think that should be the case, but let's get back. It has been undermined by research on lipoprotein. Again, I don't think it's been undermined, but let's look further. It does not account for a significant number of heart diseases. Yes, that is true. It does not account for a sizable minority. Sizable minority is still a significant number. It would make sense. Yeah, that's correct. It is no longer credible to most heart disease researchers. No, it is still credible because most of them are actually still getting done. It leads to errors in the treatment. No, I think C is the answer, pretty clear over here. Let's look at the answer. And it's C. We're good to go. All right, guys, let's move on to the next one. Okay, according to the passage, research has shown that lipoprotein A is more closely related to plasminogen than low density. Okay, this one, they did not really compare as to which one is more closely related to, I think. But let me just check once again. Lipoproteins closely related to plasminogen than to... No, they did not actually do anywhere, so I can't even look for it. So functions in the same way as low density lipoprotein that was actually mentioned, I think, has almost the same complex structure as LDL with an additional surface. No, so that was about complex structure. It has the same structure, it does not function like that. Okay. May decrease the risk of heart disease. No, in fact, it's the opposite. Resembles low density lipoprotein LDL in structure. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're looking for. That's correct. Plays a role in preventing arterial blood clots. No, actually, it's doing the opposite. So D is the answer over here. I feel it just is written right over here for you. It has the same complex structure. Oh, sorry about that. All right, I think that's correct. Let's move on. Okay. Which of the following, if true, would strengthen the theory that lipoprotein A contributes to the heart disease? Okay, so we have to look at what can be true over here, which basically might make sense that this is the heart disease causer. So it aids to lowering the body's blood pressure. No, that's actually good for us. It interferes with clot formation. That's good for us. It's more closely related to high density lipoprotein than I already told you, low density ones are the bad guys, high density are the good guys. So it cannot be doing that. It assists in transporting cholesterol to the liver. Again, that's the good guy's function. So again, that would be a good thing, but it's supposed to contribute to the heart disease. It causes release of growth factors in blood vessels. Actually, the last sentence says that may prompt the release of growth vessels by doing this and then thickening the artery walls. So if you say that, okay, this is no longer a may situation, this first we said that this may happen, but now we're saying that this does happen, then yeah, absolutely, I think this would be the contributor to the heart disease. So D is the only one that makes sense, and let's actually go ahead and check it out. Sorry, E, yeah. Yeah, last one basically. All right, we're good to go over there, and the next one is basically a new passage. Let's read it. Okay. As the modern art world is enamored with the kinetic work that is searing and energetic, vibrant, and even incandescent in its effects, it can be especially instructive to contemplate the work of a genius whose best art was born of restraint and stillness. Okay, such a master was Hans Holbein, portrait painter to the courts of Europe and most famously to the court of England kings Henry VIII. In his earlier years, Holbein achieved remarkable effects by carefully rendering his subject's surroundings. Okay. He pointed each subject in the midst of spaces and objects that defines the sitter's life and experience. Okay. But in his mature years, Holbein abandoned these carefully constructed settings and tricks in favor of an even more disciplined approach. He removed the obstructions that came between the viewer and the subject on the canvas, rendering his later portraits with even more vitality because of the additional constraints and purity of his focus. Okay, so he just got more focus on the people rather than their lifestyle surroundings. Okay, which of the following cannot be inferred from the passage? Holbein had a chilly, almost glacial temperament. His temperament, his anger, that has nothing to do with it. So A1 certainly cannot be inferred. Holbein defined his approach to portraiture over the course of his life. Yeah, he certainly did refine it. So this one is actually correct. So we cannot mark it over here. We need the ones that cannot be inferred. Next one, during the later part of Holbein's career, his portrait of a soldier would have likely included the soldier's armor and weapons. I think so. We can basically say, we can infer that this would happen or this would not happen. At this point, we can say that more or less this can be inferred that this would happen simply because he focused on people who, and their lives basically. So a soldier, basically the most important thing to them is their armor and weapons. So I think this one also can be done. What cannot be basically inferred is again the A, point number A. We're going to go with that over here, and let's see. A is actually correct. So we'll move forward with the last question now at this stage, guys. Last one. In the context in which it appears, incandescent most likely means. Now incandescent usually means, you heat something up and it becomes red and there's a light coming out of it, but that's not what it means over here. It means that it's such a work that is searing, energetic, vibrant, and even basically the work is very great, right, in its effects. Just I would say great is my synonym, and I'm gonna try to see something. Luminous is to light it up. I don't think that's it. Radiant might be the case. Let's look at it though. But again, I don't think it's radiating anything. Brilliant is very close to great. I think this just makes sense to me. Glowing, I mean, again, we're not really talking about the incandescent, light in its actual sense. So I think this one also is a false positive. Entertaining, they have nowhere mentioned anything close to that, so that would be ridiculous. More or less, I think brilliant should make sense. Let's look at it, and that's it. All right. Now, at this point, guys, we've done all 27 questions. And that's the whole strategy I want you to incorporate in your test. Exactly how I explained each and every question. If you have done these with me, I'm sure that by this stage you have improved your score. Remember that if you need a lot of good study material, I have a video on that separately, but a lot of free study material is available, like I said, by just signing up on ymgrad.com. For free, I'll send it to your email as soon as you sign up. Secondly, we also have some paid study material with a tie-up website where basically you can get it at a discount of 50 to 70% off in many cases. You can look for the link over there in the description. That's newstudymaterial.com. You can check that out as well. But for now, this is it for this video. I'm going to do a similar quant one. I hope that you like it. Please subscribe to the channel if you like my efforts, if you appreciate my work, and I'll keep on giving you good content like this. Thank you so much for watching. Share this with the people who need to know. Goodbye and take care. Until next time.